not going away anytime between James Harden and Chris Paul is, quote, unsalvageable. The report adds CP3 went to management, demanded a trade, while Harden issued a him or me edict. So, and to make things even worse, reportedly, Harden and CP3 went 2 months without speaking to each other during the season. Now, Harden hasn't returned CP3's attempts at communication this offseason. Shannon, what should Houston do about this situation?
Go back in a time machine and leave Chris Paul butt where he was, right here in L.A., and let somebody else take that.
Good point.
That's what they should do.
Yep.
Skip, I don't really know what they can do now, Skip. $41.3 million over the next 3 years. And for a 34-year-old point guard that's missed an average of 23 games over the last 3 seasons, and we know come playoff time, Skip, the deeper they run, the greater chance is that Chris Paul will come up with a hamstring or groin or some type of injury. That's what his history says. Skip, James Harden said something very interesting after the Game 6 loss to Golden State. Skip, DJ, can we drop that track right quick?
Way to go.
Yeah, Skip, I don't
You actually did some homework for this show?
Can we get that, DJ?
Either the way you guys play or what you can take from these experiences that gets you the next step that they've stopped each time?
I know what we need to do. I know exactly what we need to do. Just, we'll figure it out this summer.
The reporter had a follow-up question. You said you know exactly what you need to do. You care to elaborate? No, I don't. And he got up and walked off. That's what they need to do, Skip. We talked about when this trade went down, Skip. We like, how is James Harden going to play and Chris Paul going to play together? What seemed to be on the court of them playing together was fraying at the seams behind the seam. And now all of a sudden, Skip, this is too specific. Everybody's coming out, nah, that's not true. I didn't demand this. I didn't demand that. James Harden's looking at Chris Paul. What do you mean? What you need to call me for? You want to be traded, you need to call Daryl Morey. Skip, James Harden is what he is. James Harden is not going to change the way he plays. He can't. That's what he is. Skip, he is a quarterback. He needs the ball in order to be successful. Tom Brady, let Sonny Michel rush for 300 yards. I'd rather him run for 250 than Tom Brady have the ball in his hand throwing for 400 because I know what's going to happen. You can't make James Harden the guy that plays off the ball. That's not what he's good at. So you're asking James Harden to all of a sudden to reinvent himself when he's won an MVP. He's finished second in the MVP voting. Hadn't got him any championships. And let me tell you before I turn it over to you, Skip. This is what we know. Teams and players will stomach a lot as long as you're delivering titles. Kobe and Shaq beefed, but what were they delivering, Skip? And the moment they couldn't deliver that anymore, Dr. Buzz broke it up. He's like, I ain't gonna deal with this bickering, we ain't winning no titles. Y'all can go back and forth all you want to, but three-peat. I'm good with that. Skip, Dennis Rodman, he was dressing up in a wedding dress and had his fingernails painting and doing all kind of things. He delivered titles to Detroit. He delivered titles in Chicago. He helped. But the moment he took his shoes off on the sideline, Skip, and was laying back in his chair, the Lakers got him up out of there. San Antonio got him up out of there.
They did.
So in other words, production, as long as production is high, tolerance will be high. Tolerance will never be higher than production. So what are we getting out of this, Skip? One guy's making 42, 43 million, the other guy's making 41 million, and we ain't got no titles to show for it. Damn this bickering. One of y'all got to go. We know who that one is, but good luck trying to move a 34-year-old point guard that's making $41.3 million a year.
So now I know why James Harden blew up Chris Paul's microwave and set his kitchen on fire. All right? Now I know why. Every time I see that commercial, I think, God, that's terrible. But maybe there's some truth to it. And now I can't figure out how those two managed to stay in the same room long enough to make all those commercials together. Because the reports are this has been going on for 2 years.
Yes.
There was the one report yesterday that it got so bad in practice going back 2 years ago that Chris Paul was making fun of James' man boobs in practice to the point that he broke down in tears and had to leave a couple of practices. Man. Okay, that's when you're hitting bottom, right?
Yeah.
Okay, these are things that happen. We talked about the Kevin Durant, Draymond on the bench versus the Clippers. Those are the kind of things where the bridge burns to the ground and you can't even begin to rebuild it, right?
Yeah, it's Chernobyl. Even the ground is contaminated.
That is correct. Okay, this ground is permanently contaminated.
Yes.
I don't see how you can do the Shaq Kobe, okay, we'll coexist because we know we can win next year's championship. Right. I just don't see it. And look, Shaq and Kobe, they could each play. You know, they could hold up their end of the bargain. Right. So there had to be some respect between the lines, because did Shaq know Kobe could play? Sure he did. Did Kobe know Shaq? Oh, he definitely knew Shaq.
You said something very interesting in your statement just then. You said respect. Shaq and Kobe, they had respect for one another. Do these two guys have enough respect for one another where you make an attack personal? And then when it got personal between Shaq and Kobe, one of them had to go. When Kobe got involved in what he got involved in Eagle, Colorado, and he brought Shaq into the equation, Skip, now all of a sudden, hold on, wait a minute.
That's true. That was a bridge burner.
It was. You got to go.
No, you're right. So in this case, I still hark back to Daryl Morey is still revered as one of the top GMs in basketball because he's third-level analytics, right?
Yes.
He speaks at the Sloan Conference at MIT. Well, was this third-level analytics to give Chris Paul just a summer ago? He gave him this deal. It's massive. Like you said, it's 38.5 next year, going to 41.3, going to 44.2. It's guaranteed. You owe him all this money. And he's starting to look, to me, washed up. Like he's not only lost a step, but he doesn't take great care of himself. He just looks like just another guy.
Right.
And so James is losing respect for him as a player.
Right.
And obviously Chris doesn't have a lot of respect for James's style of play because he's the greatest solo act we may have ever seen.
Yep.
Right? Because he's just going to dribble it to death, and he's often going to score it at the expense of Chris Paul.
But I thought, Skip, when you give a guy a contract, you're not just looking at, okay, this guy's been an all-star, he's been an all-NBA player, blah, blah, blah. Aren't you looking at, okay, in 3 years, will he be worth what this contract says we're paying him?
How can you do that?
Yes.
What are you thinking? You know, that's, for me, that's a fireable offense. Like, I would look at that. You have sabotaged my franchise.
Right.
If I'm the owner for Tita, you know, like I'm going to say, wait a second. We keep talking about the coach. Should I bring the coach back? And we're at odds over his contract. What about that contract?
Yeah.
How are you going to overcome it?
No one is really happy there. I mean, because if they were so happy with D'Antoni, they'd have done gave him a contract. Now he's taking off, he's like, okay, I'm calling off negotiations. Now they want to get him back on. But Skip, I just don't know how you make this work. Once it becomes personal, once it becomes there, I don't have a, because I can work with someone, Skip, as long as I got a healthy respect for them.
Yeah.
I ain't got to like a person. The hell, I didn't like everybody I played with, but I respected them enough. Once it becomes, in this situation where it's only 12 guys, Skip, and it's not like an offensive player in football and a defensive player that really never come in contact. Skip, how do you do it? And it was reported that James Harden likes to shoot by himself after practice, and Chris Paul got a teammate, one of the rookies, and they started playing one-on-one on the court that James Harden was shooting. Now, Skip, we've seen NBA arena practice facilities. They got like 20 goals up, and you go get on the one. And am I surprised? Because remember, it was reported that Steph Curry wanted to shoot at night, and Chris Paul put the kibosh to that.
Good point.
So okay, that's not as far-fetched as it might have seemed at the time.
Yeah.
Chris Paul seemed real petty. We've let Chris Paul get away with a lot.
I agree.
Because he hit the guy in the private in college. And he's been doing things like that for the longest time. And we Chris, he's so small. He's so cute and cuddly. Nah, somebody need to put hands on Chris Paul to make him stop his foolishness.
The play at the end, I'm going back like 7 years ago, but the end is the end of a closeout series against Memphis.
Yeah.
I think Chris was still he's first year with the Clippers, I believe. And he hit Gasol in the privates at the end of the game, just took a sucker punch at it. You know, come on, really?
But we overlook that.
Okay.
Oh, he's the president of the Players Association. I get all that fine and good. But you know what? I'm a firm believer. Two things can be true.
Yep.
He can be the president of the Players Association,
I agree.
and he can still be dirty.
Yeah, I think he's done great things as the leader of that organization.
I totally agree.
I have nothing but highest regard.
Yes.
But I've often called him CP0, as in 0 rings, and he brings it upon himself because he's always feuding with Blake Griffin. Wherever he goes, he's in a feud with somebody. Yeah. He's difficult. He pesters people. He needles people. He's going to play one-on-one under the goal you're shooting at. It's like open warfare. Yeah. He's hard to deal with. Unless he can play at an all-star level, I don't think he can.
Yeah.
Which means, how are you going to get out from under this? I've seen 20 trade scenarios this morning that people have proposed. And every scenario, I look at it and say, okay, and why would the other team, even if the other team wants to get rid of those 2 contracts, you want to take that one on?
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
So like the Miami scenario that got proposed by, I can't remember who it was, but Hassan Whiteside and Goran Dragic back to Houston for Capella and this contract of CP3s. Well, why would Pat Riley take this on? Can he salvage?
Because he only has one more year of Whiteside and Dragic.
Okay.
But you're going to have 2 more years after this with Chris Paul and the Clint Capella.
Okay, is it worth it?
No.
Can you get a championship out of Chris Paul at age 35? I don't think so. So I don't see how you can't give him away. I mean, short of just cutting him, and then you against your cap, you owe him all that money.
You owe him all that money.
Okay.
Well, now he's going to start to be known as CPP.
Yeah.
Chris Petty Paul.
Petty Paul.
Because he really petty if he's going to go play one-on-one under the basketball when there's 10 other baskets that you can go play while James Harden is shooting.
This is really sad and sorry. And for one, I've never been the biggest James Harden fan because in the clutch and big playoff games, we've seen him fade again and again. But I'm becoming a bigger and bigger James fan now because of Chris.
Does this explain what happened in the end of Game 5 and how they couldn't close out when Kevin Durant went down and what happened in Game 6?
Probably.
Could this be the underlying current that caused this ripple?
Sure, it could be. It's hard to win a game like that when you're at war with each other.
If you in the montage that we're playing, look at how all the players were standing back looking.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they're actually doing this right now on the sideline in a ball game.
Okay. So back to the State Farm commercials. How do you keep these two separated long enough to then get them on camera to do these commercial shoots? You don't think it'd take some juggling of egos to do that?
Chris Paul said, I hate I brought you on. I should have got Capella.
Yeah. That's what he would be saying. But they're paying both of them so much money, I guess they both just say, just suck it up.
Yeah.
We'll get through this.
Some poor producer needed an aspirin after that
I think so.
For what it's worth, Daryl Morey is denying these things, saying he conveys his disdain and he's so annoyed with the arguments at this point for whatever you want to take.
I thought he said tension was good. Now, just the other day, Skip, he said the tension was good. You need tension. Now, all of a sudden, he's downplaying everything that's being brought up. After you, man, Daryl, come on, bro.
All right, guys, we're turning back to the NFL in our next segment. Brett Favre.
Here we
Is he
go
considering
again.
a comeback? Huh.
Really?
Sort through that one up
really?
next.
And I won't back down.